factors that affect learning. Factors that affect learning. Oh, yes. Deprivation level. Obviously, if the dog is deprived of food, he's going to work harder for food. Food getting behavior. Let's see if this one is deprived of food. Felicity. She's not, by the way. That's same thing with water, socialization. I think of Chico when I think of that socialization. Boy is socially motivated. So, how do we use these to our advantage? Obviously, the food getting behavior is the easiest to work with because you can just stick some food in your pocket and pay them as you go. Now, the social one and all of that one, those are harder to harness, because you have to have access to either more dogs, or you have to stop and then toss the ball and then wait for them to bring it back. But this is if your dog, so food is something that you can build motivation for, right? So if your dog is not food motivated, everybody got to eat. Okay. So if your dog is not food motivated, this is when we recommend get taking them into a calorie deficit. Like, oh, Tiara said to starve my dog. No, I said put them in a calorie deficit. All of their food shouldn't come out the bowl. Better yet, you could train right before you feed if you really feel like you need to just put the bowl down. Maybe you got to go to work. You don't live a dog trainer's lifestyle where you can just sit here and feed your dog all day. Balance. Good. Or crating. Crating. If your dog is socially motivated, crating is the way to go. You do some training, you put the dog in the crate, and the only time they get to interact with you is if they are training. That builds value for the training, builds value for you. If they are also in a calorie deficit, right? They get fed from you by hand when they come out and do some training. Um, let's talk a little bit about the actual reward itself. So if the reward is food, dogs work harder for bigger food, but for they also work hard for tiny pieces, a lot of tiny pieces. Why? Because they just enjoy the act of eating. It's like potato chips. You can't have just one, and you satisfy that feeling when you give them a whole bunch of teeny tiny little pieces. Quality of treat. We typically talk about high value versus low value treats, right? Usually low is the kibble, or maybe Cheerios if you don't want to give them so many calories during the day. High value is real meat, cheese. Some dogs are weird and they like lettuce and stuff like that too. Good. They also notice how crunchy it is or how soft it is. They'd rather just be able to just swallow it. That's going to be their preference for the most part. Again, some dogs are weird and they like the opposite thing of what the most dogs like. So just know your dog and know what they like. Now let's talk about how it's delivered. So treat delivery. We already said that they really like it when you give a bunch of little rewards because they just like to eat. They're gluttons. Okay, so let's talk about this for a second. They did You ask for a down. Let's say you ask for a down. They downed, but it's crooked, right? It's crooked and it's kind of off. Versus they downed and it was fast and it was straight, right? Let's say this one's slow. Maybe I'll give the Cheerio for this one to recognize effort, and then I'll go over here and I'm giving cheese. They will be noticing this difference for sure. They will notice that difference. They will remember this, right? And then the next one is more likely to be fast and straight. You're in the acquisition phase and they just hit the sit without you saying anything. You jackpot that. What is jackpot? Jackpot. The jackpot is what I described when I said a whole bunch of little ones. Rapid delivery of treats for the exact right thing. Usually, the light bulb has gone off in their head and it's like, yes, that's exactly what I wanted you to do. Let's change the reward for a second, because this is where things get weird. Now, there are breeds that will simply not eat for days, and personalities that won't eat for days. Talking about dogs that are not food motivated, right? Thinking about huskies in particular. Those things tend to not be food motivated at all. Suddenly, your reward, let's say you're one of those dogs that likes um, tug is your ultimate reward. Like the opportunity to kind of fight. You like to fight. This is such a problematic reward half the time. How do you jackpot tug? Longer tug? You could let them win the fight. That's one way to make that distinction, because the whole point of the jackpot is really to make the distinction between this and that, right? Praise is a much easier reward, but you can't really jackpot that either. Hopefully, the owner is not trying to fight with the dog. Some people just don't want to be in the way of teeth when it comes to the tugging. Where's my pillow? Bite. Felicity, bite, 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 bite it. Some people don't have the mobility, the strength. They have a huge dog. Dog is like shaking their arms out the socket. That's a lot. So it's really easier to just go ahead and harness the food, because everybody got to eat, like I said. Reinforcer sampling. Letting your dog know what you got before you ask them to do something. You'll see us do this a lot in the recall. When we do long distance, often restrained recall, I'll have you guys show the food before you run downfield. Because if they know that you got their favorite thing, then they're more likely to be fast, right? Build speed. Some food sampling and some reinforcer sampling. I don't care which sampling, I'll just do it. Wow. Whoa. Uh oh. We're going to show them a jackpot. Boom, boom, boom. Rapid fire treat delivery. Boom. Uh oh. Oh no. Good girl. She has to be able to navigate that tire balance and stuff on her own. You're going to have an easier time teaching your dog a cue if they've never heard the cue before, versus if you've said the cue 5 million times and none of the times it ended up with them doing what the cue is supposed to mean.